You guys did a quite the fake out in episode 11, let me tell you, where you
Yeah,
think
where? Okay.
that
Let's see.
Michelle is alive for a quick second.
Oh yeah.
Did
Yeah. Even when I
you
was reading it,
always know that, or did they put in the script like, "Oh, we're entering a dream sequence"?
no. In fact, when I read it, I was overcome by this miracle, if you will. I was right there, believing, as the audience did, that we were actually going to get this happy ending. That Van was so, against all odds, against all of his medical training, um, deeply craving, deeply desirous of, getting back together with Michelle, the mother of his child. And for a moment there, I was overcome reading the script too. I was a puddle. Then, of course, there's some line there saying something to the effect of, but none of this is what ended up happening. He flashes back to sitting in the stolen ambulance and realizes that that's not his fate, that he won't have that outcome, and that the right thing to do is to turn the vehicle around, go back to Bronx General. That was a massive fake out, even for me reading the script, and it was a heartbreaker because, of course, you want to see someone have the love of their life remain in their life, and that's not what ends up happening to our dear Van and our great friend Alex McNichol. Yeah.
Man, I mean, like, well, I can't even imagine like the repercussions that are going to stem from this. But I mean, we have now both Marcus and Nash leaving the hospital.
Yeah, yeah.
It's obviously affecting Oliver a lot. So, in turn, what can you tease about how that's going to affect Nichols, especially in his current position?
I think, and there were various versions of this script that I read, and as things became more refined or more specific to where they wanted the story to go, there were earlier versions that referenced Wolf's abandonment issues, if you will, um, being, I don't know, triggered, to use that word, by having, two of his prized interns leaving the hospital for reasons he completely understood. And I think that those got refined out as we got into further drafts. But I think that that's something that he's grappling with all season, with the reappearance and then disappearance of his father, Noah. And that people important to him are leaving for all reasons that make rational sense. It does play upon him and his, core unworked through issues. So that is a further destabilization, if you will, for Wolf. Is a further sort of, it furthers his arc this season. He has yet to really deal with and process his father's disappearance, and so when he has other people leaving, yeah, that's going to affect him negatively, which will in turn affect, to get to your question, um, Josh's relationship with Wolf. They are in this really interesting place. A couple episodes back, Josh has let Wolf know, when Wolf comes to him and says, I've been thinking about my future and I want you in it. Josh has emotionally moved on. And that is, here we go. Again, there's a rejection of Wolf, even for reasons that, he can understand. He says he can understand. It hurts. And so again, we have one, two, three sort of punches here, going back to episode 1 or 2, I can't remember, where his dad has left. Um, Man, this is all setting up for what could be a very interesting and an unstable Wolf for the back half of the season. And how Josh responds to that is going to be interesting. We've just finished episode 14. We're shooting episode 15 now. And even though Josh had talked about this boyfriend that he has now, someone he used to date before, something that's safe, there continue to be like great concerns for Wolf, and these two are drawn to each other. Wolf and Nichols are drawn to each other. There's something that continues to not go away for Josh. And I've asked the writers not to tell me where it's going. I don't know what the end game is here, but I sense that there's something drawing Josh to Oliver. It certainly stems from the fact that he needs help and he needs the people in his life who love him to be there for him. I just think that there's another thing underneath that's also at play, and I'm hopeful that the writers explore that. But that's certainly like something that I feel when we have our scenes together that continues to draw Josh in and drive Josh forward. That's a really long answer. I don't know if your viewers have tuned out at this point, but that's sort of going to be a really fun thing to explore in the back half of this season. And the last thing I want to say about this, like, I'm excited to see what happens with Josh and his current boyfriend. Do you remember the movie? I think it was the movie Singles, when, oh God, Keir Sedgwick is dating what's his name, Campbell Scott in the movie, and they break up. It's a really tragic event happens. They break up. She goes back to her first boyfriend, played by James LeGros, and there's one scene where they're just sitting across from each other, and she says, or he says first, I don't remember, love you, and the other one says love you, and it's safe, and it is comforting, but something's maybe not quite right. Everything should be working, but it's not quite right. I'm curious if that's the place that Josh finds himself in, or if Josh has really found himself like back in a safe, in like the safe, comforting environment. That's right. Oh, I never should have left this to begin with. That's going to be a really fun thing for me to play too in the back half of the season. Is it like good safe, or is it like, ooh, safe, but I'm a different person, you're a different person, and this should be working, but it's not? That's going to be really, really fun for me to see if that gets explored.
You're psychic, because literally one of the things I was going to ask you was, what is it about Wolf that you think keeps drawing Nichols in? And you.
Oh man, well, I mean, I think one of the things that there's a couple of things are coming to mind. Well, I want to say it was episode 5 or something, 4 or 5, when I'm sort of getting on Wolf's case about, stop being a contrarian. I think that's one of the things that Josh loves, order and structure, but yet Wolf is this iconoclastic contrarian human being who frustrates Josh to no end. However, I don't know, there's something I think he finds really compelling about that. Even though this is a guy who does sort of crave stability, and Wolf doesn't have that in spades, that's the first thing that comes to mind is it shouldn't make sense, but it does. And I think the part B of it is when you get these two in a room, and I heard the other day, like, someone was like, you guys barely have any scenes together this season, and when they happen, they're over so quickly. To me, that makes perfect sense because of where these two are in their sort of respective arcs. But when they do get together, it always kind of sizzles, man. It always kind of crackles with life. There's sort of a wonderful patter that these two have. We match wits. We speak quickly. We're able to sort of volley things back and forth, almost like a fast game of tennis. There's something that I think is really magnetic about that to Josh, because it's someone he can talk to, relate to. They match wits. Even though it doesn't maybe work on paper, there's just something about that I think reinforces, oh man, there's just a draw, and he's just drawn back in. And I am always coming up with reasons to talk to him too. I think we see an episode, I don't know, 13 maybe. Again, it's a sort of reason to find him and ask him a question, even though like I could get that answer from somebody else. But then what is it that's making me go to his office to ask him? I want to see him. I want to see him. I want to see him. And you look for reasons to see the people who matter to you, right? And I think that that's something that Josh continues to do. So that excites me. I'm excited to see where that goes.
And I love that they have this obstacle, because it gives them more of that, like, will they, won't they, which I think always everybody loves a will they, won't they in a procedural.
I hope so. And with 20 episodes, we have more time which cuts both ways. We have more time to let it breathe and for these two to find their way to each other. But we also have, it also takes some time. I understand that there's a desire to see things develop quicker, but it's, I'll say this, but like when I look back at season one, you know, Josh, there's a line at the end of the season, you know, I think I'm falling for you. And Wolf says, how can you be falling for me? You don't know anything about me. And that's when his dad comes back. And what I think is happening in season two is like a very firm foundation of getting to know him for who he is, not just like, you know, I'm infatuated, or I don't know, I think you're my person. It's, oh, well, there's some things that you're showing me, and now I'm not so sure, and I'm emotionally ready and you're not. You say you're emotionally ready, but there's no way because you haven't dealt stuff with your dad. And now you're saying you're emotionally ready, but like I've moved back to something that I thought was really safe. Um, that that yeah, I don't remember even what I was about to say about that. I think I'm just getting all these things out because I'm trying to put together, um, you know, this sort of jigsaw puzzle myself. And it's mysterious and it's compelling. And these two, I think, can really get a firm foundation of like friendship, love, and respect that you don't necessarily have. This is what I was driving at when you first maybe meet someone. The two got to be ready at the same time. You got to find each other in the right place when you're both equally ready, and also really, really know, you know, the human being standing opposite you. And I think that that's absolutely what's sort of bubbling up this season. And like I said, I'm excited to sort of see which direction the writers are going to take it.
Yeah, I mean, and as a viewer, if they end up together after that, it's all the more satisfying.
That's my hope. Yeah, I mean, I would absolutely think that would be the case, because then it's real. Then it's not like, oh yeah, this was just sort of a passionate thing or a flash in the pan, or, you know, this is real. These two have earned it. This slow burn was worth it. And that, listen, I'm selfish. I love Zachary. And so I would love to see these two end up together. And I think he has an incredible emotional mountain to climb. So I don't know if I'm even saying that right, but an incredible obstacle in his path that he has to work through, that he has to, you know, get his arms around. And I hope that Josh is there to help hold his hand through this, metaphorically, maybe even actually, because I think I think you need the people in your life to get you through who care about you, to get you through the biggest, hardest things. And to me, that's certainly Josh. Carol, 100%, but to me, that's certainly Josh. I think we've earned that as an audience, that Josh is one of those people who truly cares, truly is worried and concerned about his dear friend. And I think he's got a massive soft spot for him. So that's all the more reason to have that happen. And we'll just see if we get there.
Well, I mean, we got Josh is going through some stuff too, especially
Yeah.
with what happened with Benny. So I did want to touch on that as well,
Yeah. Go for
because
it.
I mean, obviously we had the Halloween episode where he was getting a little bit superstitious there. And
Yeah.
now that he's kind of, you know, come down from that, how do you think that experience is affecting his decisions as a doctor and who he is in this back half of the season?
He listens to reason when Wolf comes into his office and says, listen, like, no more saging, no more second guessing. You're great. Um, Enough. It reminds me of Deborah Campmeyer's episode, season one episode. I think it was episode 3, when the two of them are waiting in. It's the episode when everyone sort of gets called in on their off hours to attend to something, and Wolf and Nichols are sitting. I think it's in the OR room. It's dark. They're waiting for the scan to come up, and they're kind of comparing notes about their, you know, the things that they regret, or cases that sort of they took for granted that snuck up on them, and they, you know, patients that they've lost very quickly, very, very unexpectedly. So it's not like he hasn't been here before. Uh, but we do find him rattled in a way that even I was surprised about. I don't think Josh is superstitious at all, but I think that it caused him to question his ability as a surgeon, also his own sort of hero God complex. Like, why did I take on two at once? Why didn't I think that there was anyone else that could do this? why did I think I was so superhuman that I could literally, work 2 hours at the same time and have a 17-hour surgery and have that one, be have them both be successful. I think all that swirling around in his head. I think Wolf is a very stabilizing force for him, to come in and say, listen, enough, enough. Stop the second guessing. It's human and natural, and you're spending time dwelling on who we lost and not who you saved. So I listen. I think that resonated, and I don't think that Josh really second guesses it from there forward as it comes to his patients the rest of the season. I do think though that Josh is spinning a lot of plates. He's got a mountain of admin. He's interim chief. He's trying to impress upon the board that he should be the permanent guy, all the while, continuing a track record as a surgeon that is exemplary. So it's interesting to find Josh on the other side of the desk, at Muriel's desk, because the people that he's talking to now are no longer his colleagues that he's consulting with. Actually, they still very much are, but also he's in charge of them to a degree. So that's a whole other thing, being a voice of reason and looking out for the hospital bottom line and not trying to be sued and all these very unsexy things in the business of medicine that run kind of contrary, I think, to Josh's sort of, other MO, which is to just, find the most optimal result for his patients from caseload to caseload. So it's really, really fun for me. It's also very awkward to be on the other side of that desk and be sort of telling my friends at the hospital that they can't do this or that. But I think Josh is perfectly suited to it from his military background and his sort of, order structure, give me my orders, head down, go to work, soldier, POV too. So that's another thing that's sort of hanging over Josh's head. Will they or won't they make him the permanent chief? And that is in an upcoming episode, which we haven't shot yet. I just hear it's on the horizon, and I could see it going both ways. Yeah, I don't know.
And if he becomes the permanent chief, would that, ruin chances for a relationship with
Well,
Oliver?
let's
That's
ask
another
this:
thing.
if he becomes the personal chief, is this not an HR violation? Like, can he have a relationship with, like, technically a subordinate at the hospital? I kind of don't think so, but also this being network TV and these two being consenting adults, pushing 50, I don't know, man. Maybe just sign a bunch of forms, sign a bunch of forms. we're consenting adults here. No, I mean, I'm making light of it. I have no idea how the hierarchy would go in that sort of HR situation, but it does kind of raise a perfect point. However, I feel like we've had some HR violations already, just like by running shirtless in my office. I don't think that that's like a normal thing that one would do at a house. And I kind of think that that's, someone could file something on me, and it would be justifiably like, this is not cool. Also,
There has been a lot of kissing in the hospital.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yes, a lot of kissing in the hospital. Yeah, that's like some shirtless running. It wouldn't be the first HR violation. You're right. Yeah.
You said earlier that you asked the writers not to tell you where the relationship with Oliver was going.
Yeah.
But are there any questions about Josh that you don't have the answers to that you want the answers to?
Well, this is my dilemma because of course I want to know where it's going. I mean, I'm very curious what they have in mind. I just find it to be more fun to open a script and to be surprised. And also there's a maybe in the back of my head, if I feel like I know where it's going, maybe I will inadvertently kind of play to that in a way that I don't think is very sort of great for the audience or myself to kind of have in the back of my head. So yeah, I mean, I would love to know where they see Josh and Wolf ending up this season. I would love to know, is Josh's role, will Josh be the chief? And I also would love to know, where if any of those things happen or don't happen, what Josh's trajectory would be for next season, if we get there, because I listen, as an actor, it's always sort of fun to know where things are going. But then I just think ultimately it's more fun for me to be surprised. Like, clarity is comforting. I just think being surprised is more exciting. So that's probably it. I mean, that's probably it. I'm just pinched myself that I get to go to work on this show every day. I feel like that would be very, you know, very greedy to take it any further than that. Like, yeah, just pinch myself. I love the scripts. I love the scripts, man. I love the writing. I love the dialogue, and I love how smart the show is.
Well,
Um,
I'm manifesting a season three for you. So
Thank you, thank you. Listen, we all are too. We're doing everything we can, and but that starts really. It starts with having an incredible showrunner and excellent writers. All we need to really do is serve the text. And the great thing about being so deep in season two is we all know each other really well. We know our stories. We know the moments that we've had before. As far as characters go, we really like each other as actors. There's a lot of great chemistry on set. I love the Josh Carroll stuff. She's a great friend, and we have so much fun in life together. So to have these two on screen as also good friends and colleagues, like I think that those scenes really sing too. So yeah, it's like it's absolutely something that everyone wants to keep doing, and particularly because Oliver Sacks was just such a legend to all of us, and his sort of body of work is so deep and robust, and the strange but true things that happen to human beings are the things that we keep exploring on the neuro side of things. And ultimately, our show is a very hopeful show because while these things can befall us, the other parts about being human are the things that we need to see us through these events. You know, we need each other, we need togetherness, we need community, we need to be respected and understood, we need dignity of care, and we with all those things, I think, can see ourselves through even the hardest, darkest problems.